Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Heather McKenna, and I'm so glad you guys are here. And just bear with me. I think Blackboard Class Connect is having some issues today. I've already been on a class and been locked out, froze out, kicked out. So hopefully I'm able to stay the entire time this go around. But just so you know, if I end up disappearing, I will be back. It just, you know how it goes. But anyway, I'm really excited you guys are here. This is actually some of my favorite things to do. I love having these parent trainings because I'm a mom and I love talking to moms and dads or grandmas. It's a way for us to really connect, so I'm really glad you're here. And today's topic is over-excitability and the highly gifted child. And so just a little bit about me. I am an IDVA, Idaho Virtual Academy teacher. I'm in my 16th year of teaching, and I've been working with IDVA since 2002. This is when I realized I'm getting up there in age. I'm getting old. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education. I'm almost finished with my Idaho endorsement in gifted ed, and I'm currently working in my master's in leadership. So that's a little bit about me. I also have 3 kids, and I'll talk about them a little bit during the session today. But real quick, I just wanted to know, this is where Mrs. Thompson and I live. Mrs. Thompson, as you know, she does the other sessions with me. We alternate. And so Mrs. Thompson is over here in eastern Idaho, and I was going to show you with my pointer where I am at. And so I am right over here in Boise, Idaho. So I'd love for you to grab your pointer, and I'll give you the tools right there. Sorry about that. And if you could just put on the map kind of where you are, I'd love to see where everybody is from that's joining us today. Ah, great. Oh, we've got someone lucky down in Florida. Oh, we have got some cold weather. It's coming back in Idaho, but spring in Idaho is sometimes it's like 80 degrees and then it's snowing the next day. So we're kind of in that transition right now that we had a little bit of snow flurries yesterday, starting to get up there and supposed to be about 80 this weekend. So I'm a little envious of that. California, love California. Just so you know, my husband is from Thousand Oaks, which is about right here. So we love to visit. But great, I'd like to welcome you. I just think it's so fun just to connect with parents all over the U.S. So welcome. I'm super excited you're here today. So just a reminder how your tools, if you need to, we're going to have some typing into the board. And some of you might be really familiar, some might not. But when we type, there's on the tool over here, it's kind of a tricky thing. You have either the A with lines or just the straight A, large capital A. And what you want to do is you want to use that capital A. And the reason why is because when you use the A with the lines, it makes a box around it. And sometimes you can't see everything you've written and it scrolls up and scrolls down. So if you can, just try to use that capital A when we are talking about stuff today. So with that, I would love for you to just put up here, what are some of your joys that you encounter with your overexcitable child at home, or even in the grocery store, or just any of your things? Let's look at some of the positives, and if you could write those up there right now, that would be great. These are fabulous. And as a parent, I know this can be very difficult because there are some very down times, aren't there? And with life in general, with parenting, especially a gifted or bright child, you have to hang on to these joys. I love this, always wanting to learn more. Yes, zest for life, soaks up knowledge like a sponge, great energy, loves to learn, nature exploring, great, oh, this is a good one, great humor. Oh, yes, tells us everything, right? The ease of learning, absolutely, right? So I love this one, curiosity. There are tons, and each of us has a different scenario, right? And we're going to talk about that in just a few slides, but each of us have a different child that might be gifted in a certain way, and each of those gifts brings joys and frustrations. So I just love this. Thanks for sharing. These are some great, yes, tell me more, right? I love these. These are things we need to hang on to. I just love that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you a site down here at the bottom, and it's really a cool site. But what it is, it's going to have an answer box, and I'd like you to fill in with one of your greatest frustrations that you have with your overexcitable gifted child. So it's down here in the right where my hand is. It's right by this, but there's a little light blue. If you click on that, it's going to bring you up on a page, and that's where I want you to answer the question I have on that web page. Should we see that link there? I can also do a web push for you. So it should come up on your page there too. And in that it says, one frustration of my overexcitable gifted child is, and I want you just to type it in that box and then hit submit. Great. If you guys want to put one more, I thought my microphone was on, but it wasn't. Put one more in there, and then I'm going to take a screenshot and just show you kind of what we all thought of. So I'm going to bring this back here. And somebody even put up here, emotional and sensitive. That is very true. So I'm going to put up kind of what we talked about, and you can kind of see what everybody had come up with. And the more something is put on there, and if we had a little bit more, I'm sure we'd start seeing some of these getting more bolder and bigger. But these are absolutely good frustrations, right? Hyper focus, lack of focus, very serious. This is a good one. Mood swings, right? This happens a lot when our children are doing something that they don't really necessarily want to do or they don't have an interest in. That's when that mood swing comes in. Won't stop moving. Sometimes overlooks, right? So quick and fast that, you know, they don't take the time. They want a perfection. Yes, this one definitely leads to a lot of frustration at home. The perfection comes in for mine with shutting down or melting down on the floor. Again, the lack of focus. Those are all great ones. Okay, so I want us to use the chat box and share with me some of the common things your child is hypersensitive about. So I want you to put in the chat right now so we can share with one another. What are your children's hypersensitivities? It might just be one thing. And just to give you an idea, if you're not sure of what the names of them are, and we're going to go over each one of these, but psychomotor, sensual, imaginative, imagination, intellectual, and emotional. So yeah, those are just a few, but let's come back here, and on that hypersensitive, yeah, there we go, we're seeing some texture and clothing. Ashley, absolutely. Those tags. Someone needs to invent something for those, correct? Noises in the neighborhood. Emotional, psychomotor, yes. Some children are natural disasters. They're frightened about terrible accidents in the world. They always want to give to others. Maybe they wear their heart on their sleeve. Maybe, like you guys said, the tag, how it feels in their shirts or clothes. Loud or high sounds. You know, they seem to cause pain. Absolutely. And you might ask yourself, why? Yep, temperature change. Yes, crooked socks. Sensory seeking. These are all really great ones. And this is what's so great to talk to one another, isn't it? just also to let you know that you have somebody else out there that understands what you're going through. So a lot of times you might be thinking, why is my child overreacting so much? Are they just big babies? I mean, this is a lot of times too, people might look at your child and think this. But no, I'm here to tell you that your child has just had more connections made in their brain. That's all it is. This is how they're made up. They really feel these intensities and they are not making them up. And I know sometimes it's hard, especially for family members or people whenever they might be having a meltdown. They just don't understand because they don't have to deal with these things. So I'm just excited that you guys are here so we can talk about this and kind of talk some things out and get some strategies. So the overexcitable or hypersensitive child, many of your frustrations with your gifted children stem from something called over-excitabilities or hypersensitivities that not all gifted or highly gifted individuals have. But we do find, though, there's more of a percentage of these in gifted children than in the general population. So I just want you guys to know that. There was a man named Kazimierz, I don't know if I can say, I should have looked at the pronunciation, Kazimierz Dabrowski, and he was a Polish psychologist who held a master's degree in education. He had a strong interest in the emotional development of intellectually and artistically gifted youth. He was struck by their intensity, sensitivity, and tendency toward emotional extremes. He identified 5 areas a gifted person reacts more strongly than normal to a stimulus that may be very small. And that's like those tags in the back or crooked socks. It involves not just a psychological factor, but the central nervous system sensitivity. And so we talked about that too, because this is just how they're made. So we're going to talk about Dabrowski's 5 areas of over-excitabilities today. And I'm really excited to do this. I think this is just super important. So here are the 5 areas. We just talked about this, and I love this comic. It was just awesome. You know, I think he did actually study in Poland, Anna. I'll have to double check on that. I don't remember reading that recently, but I'm sure I thought in Switzerland, I'm sure. I'll look into that for you. Or maybe if you have a minute, do a Google for me and you can pull it up. So I love this. Resolutions. Me? Just what are you implying? That I need to change? Well, buddy, as far as I'm concerned, I'm perfect the way I am. Oh, boy, I run into this. And this is exactly my face now. Oh, and this is where we want to get. We don't want the mean face looking back. We want to be like, okay, this is who my child is. So instead of trying to change our overexcitable children, let's give them coping tools to help them deal with their personalities and emotions. Dabrowski believed that these overexcitabilities were actually the capacities for these young people to become better human beings. And it's so true. You all have somebody special. And they might have things that don't fit in with the general population, but that doesn't mean anything. That means they're special. And we need to look at that and help them cope with that so they're able to function more and accept things with these different tendencies they tend to do. So the first one is psychomotor. And so let me give you a description. This child appears to be very busy and restless. As infants, they generally require less sleep than normal for most babies. A child with ADHD and a gifted child can mirror one another. However, a gifted child can focus for long periods of time, whereas an ADHD child cannot. This child exhibits lots of movement and athletic activity. They may be fast talking and use lots of gestures. When this child gets upset, though, they may get nervous tics, become overly competitive, or feel the need to organize their environment. Does this describe your child? So I want to know, if this is your child, what strategies have you found that help? If you could put that in the chat, that would be great. I love that one, Leanne. setting goals to attain. And we're actually going to talk about that with another one of the over-excitabilities. It's both. They kind of align each other there, Amy, but yes, the gifted child does talk a lot. So does the ADHD child. I think today in society what we've seen, though, is a lot of people are missing the gifted side. They over-categorized and said, oh, you must have ADHD. And the main difference is that the ADHD child cannot focus whatsoever. Versus a gifted child, they have a hard time focusing, but once they find something they like, they can really focus. That's the difference. Yes. I just love these kids. All these kids are so great, and I'm so blessed to be able to work with children with all these because I see the potential and I see how amazing they are. So one of the things, if you come across a psychomotor child or if you have one, I want to tell you a few things that these children need to hear. They need to hear you have wonderful enthusiasm and energy. I wish I had your energy. You put your whole body into that learning. Sometimes our bodies need to relax. These are some things that you could be using. We want to praise these gifts because in society, and to be honest, as a mom at many times, I have chosen to do the opposite. And believe me, as a parent, there are times our children need to focus and settle down. But if they're in the midst of learning and they're excited about something and you know that is going on in their brain, we need to take that opportunity and to build on it and not pull it down. I know it's hard. Yep. And Leanne just said, mine is gifted, and he is. He's in my class. And he is very focused, but then needs to be recentered via a physical task. Excellent. Thanks, Leanne. That is a great point. They are moving all the time, and to get that brain going and that focus, they need to be moving. Okay? So some strategies that we can use. I love these. We can discuss the positive aspects. And that means talking to them out loud about what you love about their movement. This is really important. And I'll talk about this in a few slides with some of my own children. It is hard being a mom. I'll tell you what, isn't it? But it's such a great thing to do. Avoid activities that require sitting for a long period of time. So key. It's okay. Have them bounce up and down. Have them go run outside. Have them tap. Go do an instrument. Plan for movement opportunities before and after a long period of stillness. If you start knowing what to expect and know this is just how your child is, it's really going to help you and them in the long run. Involve children in a physical task. Send them on an errand. Oh, I love this. Sometimes I've had my son run around the house. I'm just like, go outside and run, or run to the mailbox and get my mail. Just little things like that. Help your child notice signs of exhaustion or need for quiet time. And I like what Leanne said here, is that she has to recenter him. And this is a great thing. This is really important. They need that quiet time. They could be building something, making something, but that's their own time to be kind of settled down but be active at the same time. Teach that timeout can be a choice and it's not a punishment. My timeout in my quiet time in my house is not a punishment. Now, if they do something terribly wrong, absolutely. But we have quiet time, believe it or not. I still have quiet time with my 14-year-old. I have a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And we still do quiet time because this is very important. It's also important for you as a mother because you need to, or a father, I'm not sure if I have any fathers on, you need to get recentered too. You need to be, have that quiet time as well so you can build yourself up and fill your cup as it may and be able to go on with your next chore for the day and be that good learning coach and that good mother. And then teach relaxation techniques. I know Mrs. T has, her daughter is, this is her daughter, the psychomotor sensitivities, and she actually has learned some yoga positions and yoga, types of yoga, and her daughter does that to settle down. Just that focusing. I like what Amy said. She'll be rolling around on the floor while I'm trying to teach her, and I'll get frustrated and ask her what I just said, positive that she wasn't listening, and she can repeat back to me word for word. You're right, Amy. It's amazing, isn't it? But they need that. And so if you acknowledge that and know that they are moving and they're learning, then it's going to help you. Because again, in society, right, that's not the norm. If they're in a traditional classroom, they would be getting in trouble. So what an awesome blessing for them to be home, being able to do that movement and to be soaking in that knowledge. You guys are awesome, I'm telling you. Okay, the next one is sensual hypersensitivity. What is this? This is heightened experience of sensual pleasure or displeasure. This child may dislike labels on their clothing, socks turned inside out because the seam in the sock, may have extreme reactions to smack of gum chewing. They love good smells, textures, taste, or they hate bad smells, textures, taste. May be picky eaters, be sensitive to bright lights and harsh sounds, love to be the center of attention. Okay? When they're upset, they may overindulge or seek comfort with luxury and food. So encourage that healthy food. They may take comfort from stroking something like a cat or a stuffed animal. These kids may linger in softness and coziness for comfort. They're really to that feel, aren't they? So do you have a child with sensual hypersensitivity? So again, we'll ask you, what are some strategies you've used to help them? So if you could put that in the chat, that'd be great. Thanks, Anna. I knew Poland was in there. So if you're wondering, we're asking about studying, Anna. So we are looking for, what do you do with your sensual child? And I'm anxious to see what some of you have found to work. And feel free, if you want to use your microphone instead of writing it in, I'd love to hear someone's voice. Clay. Interesting. I haven't heard that one, Anna. Play with clay. Yep. I knew what you were saying. So Amy says, mine is sensitive to voice at times while I sit next to her and teach. She says it hurts her ears. I will whisper till it feels better. We cut 99% of tags out of all her clothes. Excellent. Being flexible with clothing. It doesn't have to match. He has to be comfortable. Earphones to cut out, yes. Earphones to cut out the background noise. I actually have one student in my class, that's what he has to always have his headphones on. And that's okay. And if you know that's an issue, I just want to encourage you to make sure we get that, talk to your teacher and get that on a 504 plan. So when they go into testing, that option is there that they could wear headphones. Because any type of sound, there already might be a nervous going in and sensitive going into a testing site as they get older. And if that headphones or any type of noise protection gives them, you know, a relief and a sense of peace, then we can definitely do that. I think Leah's putting something up here. So I wanted to share with you just as a parent, oh good, here's Leanne's, I'll do this. Ben was not in OT, it was in OT and food therapy for a time when he was really young. He would only eat 5 foods. Now he finds comfort in certain soft music, clean workspace, and reward edible treats. Oh, thanks, Leanne. I really hope that helps some of you out there with some new ideas. And then Anna said, I've noticed when my 2 gifted children work with natural clay, model and smooth it, it makes them happy. Oh, I love it. Oh, this just makes me smile ear to ear. I love getting these suggestions from you all and being able to share it. Those are some great tips. So this is actually one of my children. This is Audrey, and she's 7. And she would definitely be called your sensual. She also likes center of attention. She's got a few. Very, very bright. But you know, it's funny how even though I'm a teacher, I act different when I'm a mom. And I've just kind of come to realize, and I wanted to encourage you because I've made a lot of mistakes. And I know us moms, we're not perfect and we're probably our hardest critics. But with Audrey, she's that one. She does not like the socks. She does not like the tags. And I came from my older daughter who is intellectually gifted, and so I could dress her and make sure she looked just right. And then came Audrey. Aren't they all different? And it's taken me a while, but I made a lot of mistakes, and that's why I want to encourage you that just to realize that it's normal. And the reason why they're so sensitive is because they are wired differently. Because I used to get annoyed, like, Audrey, it's okay, you need to let go of the socks. The socks are fine, let's not start crying, or the tag in the back. You know, what is the big deal? And that's the thing is, it's finally hit me, and I've come to realize, like, this is who she is. And I need to let go of the norm and realize she's not the norm. So I'm telling you, I've made a lot of mistakes with all three of my kids, and I think I learned from mistakes and always want to share it. But just, I think, to know comfort that your child's not the only one. So it just made me, you know, giggle to myself when I see all these, you know, sock issues and tag issues and clothes issues and sensitivity. And it's like, okay, this makes me feel so much better that this is not just me. I really liked this. It said, you know, these children need to hear these. And so I wanted to put this up here so you guys could get some ideas that when these opportunities come that we can turn this in from a negative to a positive. Yes, Anna said we need to become open-minded parents. It is hard, isn't it, Anna? It's a work in progress. But you need to say something like this. You take such delight in beautiful sights, sounds, and feelings. So when those sensitivity things come up, like what Leanne shared about Ben, you know, when it's super sensitive about food, wow, you know, I really like that you look to the, you know, how different that food tastes. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. You like, you know, beautiful sounds and textures, but I noticed that some loud sounds bother you. Sometimes it's good to try new things. Would you like to try maybe a food, you know, maybe an oatmeal? I know oatmeal, the texture of oatmeal tends to not, a lot of kids don't like that. So a lot of times just bringing it to a question, acknowledge that they are struggling with something and that they're unique in a good way, but also encouraging them to try something new even though it's hard. So discuss the positive. Remember, it's all about discussing the positive. When you start feeling yourself getting negative, just think about this and say, okay, they are not wired like I am. This is, how can I bring this into a positive? Okay? Co-create. Provide environments that limit a sense of stimuli and maximizing comforting. So you know, going to a concert might not be the best idea. So maybe finding somewhere or somebody that can watch your child so you and maybe your other children could enjoy it, or, you know, you're just going to have to let go of some things. I always think it's a season. And as they get older, they're still going to struggle, but it's going to get better. And this is always a season of life. Provide opportunities to dwell in delight. Give those opportunities that they love. I love that you took all the tags out. Awesome. Way to go. You are the mom of the year. You're ahead of me. Because I'm always like, okay, maybe this tag won't bother her. I should know by now. As much as possible, foster control of the child's own living space and work setting. And I love that Leanne brought up. Some of us just don't think of those simple things. Make sure it's clean. If your child's struggling in the workspace, maybe look at it and think, okay, what can I do completely opposite here? So maybe you have something on it, or maybe you have nothing on it. Maybe put a few little things on it. Maybe that would help. So maybe look in the environment and look, okay, this isn't working, so what is the opposite of this? Help the child find comfortable and appropriate clothing. Sounds like a lot of you are already ahead of the game here. Tights was another thing too for mine. I can't do any Target tights. I don't know about you, but Target tights are a big no-no. for mine, Target the store. Something about the seam in them just doesn't quite work. Understand that attachments to stuffed animals and favorite blankets may run a tad longer than with other less centrally sensitive kids. So that's something to think about too. Now again, as they get older, you want to have boundaries though. You know, I know that blanket is their comfort, but maybe in 5th grade, you know, we got to start thinking, you know, having that blanket go everywhere we go, it's baby steps. So if one of your children has struggles with this, maybe, you know, you need to start taking baby steps, and it's just like right here. How about we try something new? You know, maybe taking it for a little bit less. I know my daughter, when she's younger, had her blanket everywhere. It's in shreds now, but we had to take baby steps of like, you know, let's not take it this time in the car. You can next time, but this time we're not going to. Oh, I love that. My son has no space for himself in his bed. A lot of toys and blankets. Yes, so does my Audrey. I should have taken a picture of that. That's their comfort. And a lot of times we just don't realize that, do we? Because everybody's so different from ourselves, and we have a problem with this anyway in general as adults, but with our own children, they're unique and special in their own way. I just love it. Okay, so the intellectual. Okay, so here's the definition of this one. And now remember, your child might possess more than just one. My children tend to have one more than the other. So, you know, but a lot of our kids are a lot. So I love this. Amy said, my mother lives with us and my daughter gets in bed with her almost every night. She doesn't like to sleep alone and always has to be touching someone. Oh, you know, a lot of us I'm looking at that. How special is that? Now, I know, Amy, probably at times it might get a little annoying. But again, it's really great that you see that's who she is and you're fostering that. And so she needs something. So when she does start transitioning out of that, have something great in her own bed, something that gives her that same comfort. Again, look at the positives, right? That's a hard thing for us sometimes to do. Yeah, oh, I know, I bet. So be thinking about that and actually be talking to her about that. You know, if Grandma wasn't here, and she's going to be here for a while, but, you know, when she's not here, there's something special we could have in your bed that would make you feel comforted. And so just start that process now, those baby steps. But okay, so intellectual, heightened need to seek understanding and truth, intensified activity of the mind, a drive for probing questions, problem solving. It's preoccupied with logic, theoretical thinking and development of new concepts. These children have trouble falling asleep at night because their mind is racing. They enjoy brain teasers and puzzles, like to figure things out, especially if they are complicated. They love a challenge. They seek out truth and knowledge and are very observant. So when they are upset, they may analyze things to death. So is this your child, and what strategies do you use? If you could put those in the chat, that would be great. It's really fun to see how everybody, that our class, our group, it is really divided, isn't it? There's a few that have each one, and I just love that. Actually, one of my parents logged off. I wish she was here because hers is definitely intellectual, and I would see. Oh, Carrie, great. My husband and I take turns having alone time with him for all the problems, the probing questions. Great, and you know what? That's such a great tip, Carrie, because it can be exhausting, can it? So this is a great way to keep you and your husband on top of it and in a positive mood, right? Because I know it can be very draining. Yet mine plans out every minute of the day's events. I work with him on flexibility. Absolutely. I have an idea book. That's a great idea. She has a very hard time going to sleep. Some nights we let her lay in bed and do something excellent she wants to do, read a book, work excellent. That's a great tip. Read a book or research what is really hyper-focused. Excellent, Leanne. These are all such great. I hope you're gleaning some great ideas from everybody. I keep excellent highlight magazines and puzzle books around as distractions for boring times. Great. Stimulating that mind. Have you noticed when they get bored, that's when there comes a problem? Have you noticed? That's exactly it. And that's a great thing, just having something on hand. When you feel those moments coming, you have something for them to do. Anna says, my boys, let's see, oops, came up, sorry. My boys like hands-on experiments with lots of mess. It makes them content. Heaven help us if they get bored. Yes, that's so true. Yeah, electronic stimulation needs to be limited. You are right on that. They can get very wrapped up in that, right? That electronic, they zone. But then they tend to be, it's like at least mine tends to get zoned and then tired. And then it kind of retroacts. It's good for a little bit, but limitations is definitely something that needs to be, because they get too zoned in. And then their body just doesn't know how to cope, and then it gets frustrated. So absolutely. Wow, you guys have some great, they can't slow down, yes. So this is my other daughter, Lauren, and she's my 14-year-old, and this just says it all about her. She is intellectual, very. She has to have everything just right. As you can tell, of course, she's in the selfie phase now. It seems like every 14-year-old is taking selfies. Just, this is my phone. We don't give her a phone. Everybody has a different opinion on that, but she has every opportunity. But if you can notice in this, look at how she took this. Now, if it was me, I would have just put the camera up and taken the shot. No, Lauren had to make sure she had the right lipstick. She had to make sure it had the right, tilt to it and the right look, and it captured just her right eye. And, it's just that thing, but very intellectual. She's the one that stays up late at night. She reads like you wouldn't believe. She loves puzzles. She loves math. But you're right. Once she gets bored, oh, watch out, correct? So, absolutely. So, I love this. She constantly is needing to learn or do something. It takes her a long time to fall asleep. She'll sneak back up and read. Yes. Aren't they funny? I just love that because it's so not me. She will. I love it. If it doesn't interest her, I get procrastination. Excellent. That was a great tip. Procrastination, absolutely. It has to be something that they're passionate about. But this is something that you need to think about. They are going to excel on things they love, and this is where they're going to make a difference in society. But we also need to teach them that they still need to get through those things that don't meet their needs, because that's when they start falling. That is a great question about how do you deal with procrastination when schoolwork is boring. And hopefully your teacher, where are you from? It just says PE2, so I'm not sure. San Diego, okay, perfect. What we do in the Idaho Virtual Academy is we really encourage in our Advanced Learner program, that's what we have for our gifted children, is compacting. And so we want to find out where the kids are, so we automatically get them to the point, and we take a lot of quick assessments and get them to the part that it's challenging. So hopefully maybe talk to your teacher about that, because we don't want them bored. They are not going to excel, and we want them to excel. So definitely that's how we do it. It's very fast-paced. We want to get them through, and we want to find out where they're at. If it's not a favorite subject, this is a great question. I use these as opportunities for them that, guess what, when they go to college, they're going to have to do things that are not interesting. So we have to learn how do we get through it, but I try to make it very minimal. I want them to do the majority of their time in their passion areas so they excel, but they also have to learn that they need to get through those boring subjects, because it's just the way it is. And I bring up a lot of personal experience. I have to do a lot of things that are boring, but I have to get through them. So use those personal experiences and maybe just talk to them about that, and that we have to get through it, but as soon as you get done with that, then reward them with what they do love to do. Okay? Yes. Sometimes it means allowing them to be more in-depth on something. Yes. Thank you. Yes, Jessie. That's great. Boredom solving doesn't always mean heaping on more work. I actually think less work. They have to learn how to get through it, and then exactly finding something that they love to do and reward them with that. Okay. Isn't this great? I love it. So one of the things is these children, remember, they need to hear your curiosity fuels your intelligence. Whatever they're passionate about, you've got to make them do that. I mean, you're not going to have a hard time, but encourage them to do more of that. They're going to be something someday in what they're passionate about. And even if you have a sensual child, I guarantee they have an intellectual sensual as well. So every one of our children is passionate about something, and I want to encourage you to do that because that's what they're going to make a difference in. Okay? Also, something else you can say, you have very deep interest, and this is awesome, keep going. You really stick to projects that interest you. Really praise them on that. I really like what someone put here in the chat, Leanne. Man, Leanne, you've got coming up with some great things. Combine the boring subject with a topic that they're interested in. Make them create an art project, a math problem, or creative writing story about it. Excellent. They might love to build things. We have something in our program. It's really neat. We did some passion projects this year in our advanced learner program. And it was really neat to see that one of the projects was just presented from a second grader. And it was on China, the history lessons in the online school. And the driving question is, how is your life in America as a child different than it would be in China? And, some children might be like, wow, this is so boring. But this one child decided to take it to an avenue he loves. He loves Lego. And he made a video, a Prezi video. It was unbelievable. And he built all the differences in Lego. It was amazing. But just like Leanne said, he might have found that, the traditional online school lesson of writing out the difference, that might have been really hard for him because I know with writing, it tends to be one of the main difficulties with our gifted children because they can't get their thoughts out fast enough. But he decided to take it in a way that he loved. And he built these amazing Lego. He built the Great Wall. He built the Tiago River. He talked about lions. Then he went into the United States, how we have armies, and that baseball is our favorite pastime. And he built all these. So I thought that was such a great way, just to reiterate this, that, if you find something you'd love to do, intertwine it with something that they're having a hard time doing. Yes, absolutely log the time in. Oh, yeah, this is the thing you have to realize too. Are they learning? Because remember, the online school is just a foundation for you. You need to get it done, but how you do it is up to you in a sense, right? A lot of our gifted children need that enrichment. They need that passion project built in. And you have that flexibility in there to kind of, alter it to your needs. So if they're building something on China, you better put that time in there. They're working hard on that, right? So absolutely do that. Count that. Okay, so some of the strategies, honor the need to seek understanding and truth. That's like my Lauren. She is a very truth setter. So if she finds out something isn't quite the right way, oh, this is upsetting. And start this at a young age if you can already. It's way easier to start all these at a young age than when you've kind of already created a habit and it gets harder to redo. Personal experience. Alter sleep patterns as necessary. And I like how a lot of you parents, just like me, we've let some stuff go. I might say bedtime's at 9, but I know my daughter doesn't go to bed till like 10. And it's because she's reading. And I'm okay with that. Teach inquiry methods and communication skills. Have you found your intellectual child really has a hard time admitting they're wrong? Whew. Tell you what, that's mine. And I'm constantly trying to teach her how to communicate that. It's better to communicate that than to pretend it didn't happen, or when you're caught to fight about it. So this is definitely a process, and that's yes. Mine is very empathetic too. That's a great point. So communication skills. This is helping them become wonderful young adults and young individuals in the workplace when they get older too. That's part of our job as parents, right, and learning coaches. Yes, stubborn, Anna. That's a good word too, isn't it? To put that as a frustration. Allow children to develop their own projects based upon individual interests. Let them imagine and believe in what they're doing. I have a hard time as a mom because I want to come in and stop this. So this is something I have to constantly remind myself. Let them do it. If they've come for me for some guidance, absolutely. But let their project be theirs. That's where the great ideas come from. Help children develop goals and engage in self-reflection. Guys, I understand this. This is very hard for gifted children with goals, right? This is very hard for them to, the majority of gifted children have a very hard time following through with their goals, okay? Self-reflection activities, this is a great one. You can actually you can Google that for just self-reflection activities for gifted children. You'll come up with some there. Some of the things is having a journal. You also might have something that you make a goal sheet, maybe something that they want to do, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe there's something that they have a hard time doing. So maybe it's spelling. Maybe you have a child that's really cannot stand spelling. Maybe you set a goal on spelling. I will complete my spelling this week with little complaining. That might be one. And then at the end of it, after the end of the week, you guys can sit down and you can talk about that. Hey, let's reflect on this. You know, how do you feel you did? Did we do it? No, I didn't do it. Okay, well, what happened? You know, we could talk about that. So let's self-reflection, or yeah, I did it, and say, what are some things? And you could even, you know, put some sticky notes up or something that they might want to design or build and things that help them be successful. Seek opportunities to provide interaction with intellectual peers, not necessarily their age peers. You might have an 8-year-old that loves to converse with adults, not other 8-year-olds, correct? And if this happens, you need to be open for that. One of my biggest downfalls is my 14-year-old has always been intellectually sensitive and has always wanted to join the adult conversations. And to be honest, as a mom, a lot of times I'm like, no, this is my time. And I've realized a lot of times that has really hurt my daughter. And I've had to let go of that. And it's okay. They need to realize, too, you need to have adult time. Don't get me wrong. But there's other times maybe make it a point to allow them to converse in the conversation and then excuse them. So they have that opportunity to do that. Yes, interrupting adult conversations. That is a very difficult one. So again, that could be used as a self-reflection. You could have a sit-down time after everybody leaves and talk about different things and maybe talk about a solution with that. Not be meaning that when you have adults over, they're able to have a certain time that they get to come and talk, but then they need to leave and go do a project or work on something or go work with, play with their peers. Oh, that's great. I love that. What a great opportunity right there. Amy said, loves to go with grandma's dialysis appointments and visit with patients and nurses. What a great point. They love elderly homes, by the way. I don't know if you've taken any of your children to them. They just think a different way and they love conversing. So that's a great point. Excellent. Camp CIT training is great. I haven't heard of that. That's excellent. Thank you. Okay, yes, Anna. We are almost done. I know. The last one is imaginational overexcitement. I love this. Ha, I've turned myself into invisible. By removing my clothing, I can perpetrate any crime undetected. I have complete freedom. I can get away with anything. Calvin, what on earth are you doing in the cookie jar without your clothes on? These kiddos have an imagination that soars, and they believe they're real. And I love this because this is totally them. And this was totally my son, Garrett. This is my son, Garrett, and this was him. And I'm telling you, I did not handle this the right way. My son, Garrett, is 11, and I did not foster this at all. Even though I was very imaginative as a child, that was definitely something I struggled with. It's funny how when you have a child, then you kind of change it. Not that I didn't like him having imagination, but I let Garrett kind of go too far with his imagination, and then I didn't help him through that process. So when I think about this, I think about Garrett. But this is it. Does your child have a wild imagination? Do you wonder if sometimes they don't know the difference between their fantasy world and real life? Yes. And so this is a good one, too. I love what Amy said. Isabella is an only child, and she talks to herself all the time. She has conversations with her stuffed animals, Barbies. She's always talking in her room. Yes. I I just love that. And what I want to encourage you, though, is to really foster this. But also, as they start getting older, one of the things I didn't do, and then I handle it the wrong way, is I'll give you a little feedback. Garrett had imaginative friends. And he actually had one that was named John that lives in California. And it went on and on. And I did not, eventually as he got older, I did not help him decide and decipher between what was real and what wasn't real. And this is where my error was, because I handled it in such a poor way that I basically told him this isn't real anymore, and I let it go, that I didn't foster as it went. Oh, that's great. Izzy was 5. She had a husband named John. I love it. Maybe it was John that lived on the other side of the mountains in California with Garrett. So what I want to encourage you is we want to encourage the imagination. This is where those inventions come. This is where these amazing ideas come from. But we also want to help them transition into realistic ideas. Does that make sense? Push the slides to, oh, did it not come through? Can you guys see this one with my son Garrett? Seemed like my computer was lagging a little bit. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So one of the things I'm gonna read a little bit about what it is, because I love reading what the proper definition is of this. Imaginational, heightened play of the imagination, rich association of images and impressions, spontaneous imagery of an expression of emotional tension. These students may be called dreamers. They're creative. They love metaphors. They think in pictures, believe in magic, remember their vivid dreams. They have a capacity for living in a world of fantasy. If you suspect that a child is describing some event from his imagination as if it was an actual experience, you might help him discern the difference while still honoring his imagination. This can usually be accomplished with gentle questions. Is this a story? Or you have such a great imagination, don't you? Whatever the imagery events might be, it is important to remember that the child's accompanying feelings are real. Now this is where I really mess things up, and it's hard for me to look at this as a mom, because my son did have a very great imagination, and this was him, but I did not decipher. I waited till it was too long, and then I just, boom, dropped the bomb on him, and this really hurt him. It really discouraged him from being who he was and who he was made to be. And so I've just learned from my mistakes, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. So definitely, but looking at this, we're running out of time. Definitely, like it just said, I want you guys to discuss the positive. Cherish the creativity and the imagination they have, but also help them decipher for what is real and what's not real, at the same time encouraging that imagination. Have them tell stories, draw images, imagine friends. You know, keep this up. It is important. Provide for opportunities for design of invention. If you have a child like this, they are inventors. It's been proven. Help them. Encourage them. Okay? Provide for outlets for creative pursuits. That might be the arts, drawing, music, friends, expression, and dance. Offer open-ended activities. That means give them something and let them dream up what they want to do. And record imaginative content and ideas in the journal. And the reason why we say this is because it's been proven that children that start writing their ideas down, when they get older, they build on it, and they are the inventors of the world. So definitely this is a really cool, amazing gift, and this is how to foster that. The last one is emotional. And looking up here, I'm really lucky because Ben's little brother Daniel, is imaginative. Great. Danny helps to foster this in Ben and encourages him to step out of his comfort zone. I love that. Okay, last but not least is the emotional. And believe it or not, this is in a lot of our kids, and this is what it is. Heightened, intense, positive, and negative feelings. capacity for deep relationships, well-differentiated feelings towards self. It may have extreme and broad range of emotions, understand and be sensitive to others, feelings, being compassionate and caring, form strong attachments to others, experience difficulty adjusting to new environments, be in tune with their self. Okay? These kiddos have really extra emotional antennas, don't they? Okay? Everything inside them, they can feel it to another level. Okay? They're very intense, and you know, a lot of times they have a large concern about death, love, loneliness. You know, they care for others, but a lot of times it brings out this excruciating pain as well, correct? And this is one of those things. So they get upset too. When they get upset, sometimes, right, they get physically ill. They become depressed or very anxious. They feel overly responsible for things that are out of your control, and they're very highly self-critical, right? They're perfectionists. So this is one of those ones that it is really hard. Yes, this does include separation anxiety, Amy. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a hard one. This is a really hard one. And again, I think the thing is I think this is the key right here, is that if you can get to that point that you can accept the feelings and their intensity, it's going to help you a lot dealing with this. Also, you've got to be able to get a break. You've got to fill your cup up. So make sure you're getting enough time for yourself as well. And I know some of us, that's very hard. I know my husband travels a lot, and I'm alone a lot. And that might be those times that you have a little bit of quiet time and you've got to just do something for yourself. It might be going outside and just sitting and just having a little bit of peace, even though there might be some major crying going on inside. Sometimes just to get that breath of fresh air. Okay? But just also being in touch with what causes this emotional breakdown. If you're aware of those things, you know, like Amy said, the separation, she knows she's going to be geared up. She's going to start talking about it and talking about it over and getting it ready and helping that anxiety maybe come to a little bit of a lower level. Teach the child to share his emotions and feelings with others in a positive and productive way. I know this can be difficult sometimes. Teach children to be respectful of other feelings. A lot of times they just flat out say what they feel, right? Sometimes we get really embarrassed by that. And so again, that's just a growing experience, using it as a self-reflection, talking about it when it's over. How could we make that better? Develop a feeling of vocabulary. Oh, this is really important. Okay? You might have a clue word. So maybe when things start getting really high up there and really anxiety is building, or you can tell that the tears are about to come, maybe it's a word that might bring a smile. Maybe it's unicorn. I'm just thinking of one. I know my Audrey loves unicorns and it brings a smile to her face. Maybe there's something that when you see that happening, you can look and say, Audrey, unicorn? Unicorn. And that brings that connection like, okay, I'm starting to pass to this other level. I need to get my feelings in check. Teach children to anticipate the physical and emotional experiences and rehearse responses and strategies. This is when reflection comes, bringing up those things. Maybe it's going, you know, to a movie and maybe they really like it, or maybe there's a sad movie and it's just going to trigger something, and so you need to talk about that. And, you know, I talk about this when maybe my daughter has a hard time with another child. Audrey tends to just tell you how it is. And I've had to really work hard on different ways to respond to things. This is very difficult. So it's just going over and giving them different scenarios. How would you handle this? What would you do here? Teach, model, and share relaxation techniques. Okay? Like I said, clue words. Word might be focus. Maybe unicorn. It's up to you guys. But maybe those are something that you guys could work together that helps them realize, okay, I'm moving to one area and I need to get my focus back on something else. Use journaling. Guys, this is a really good one. If you have a child that deals with this as they get older, they love to write out how they feel. So definitely maybe a journal or typing. And then find and choose activities that provide meaningful opportunities for empathy and social concern. Well, I know we've talked about a lot, and I'm already running behind. But this is just one of those really important, I think everybody deals with this with gifted children, okay? We're all different, all unique, right? But I'm glad that you have one another to kind of converse with and talk about it. So I'm super excited that you guys were here. I hope this helped you. But just so you know, for more information, hopefully your school has an advanced learner program. If it doesn't in your state, talk to your teacher, talk to your principal and say, hey, I really want an advanced learner program in my school for my gifted child. Okay, definitely get that rolling. Our website for IDVA, we have so many great resources on here. It's called giftedresources.com. We have so many recordings that we offer you on these exact topics. Maybe it's perfectionism, or maybe it's test taking, or maybe you want some new technology tools. We've got everything you can think of. So feel free to hop on there and find something that you want to download. We also have a Facebook page. And so anyway, I just want to thank you guys so much. Right down here is a safe share. It's a video, and it's about, I think it's about 5 minutes, but it talks about all these different emotional over-excitabilities that we talked about today, just to wrap things up. But thank you so much for coming. Feel free to click on this link if you want something else. And you guys have been awesome, and I learned so much from you, and I just appreciate everything you guys do. You guys have children that are super special, and I'm so excited to see what they end up doing with their life. So keep up the great work.